At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
What is Café Mocha? Café Mocha is experts, celebrities.
What's up? This is Belle Biv DeVoe.
Yours truly, Idris Elba.
This is Fantasia.
This is In Vogue.
This is India Ari.
So much more. All from a woman's perspective.
What flavor are you, baby?
This is Café Mocha.
Café Mocha with Lonnie Love Yo-Yo, and I'm Angelique. We're celebrating 15 years of radio from a woman's perspective. Over that time, we've tried all kinds of healthy eating options. We've gone sugar-free, alcohol-free, we've juiced, we've made smoothies, but who knew there's actually a way to eat right for your age? I know, right? Well, Dr. Ian Smith is here to talk about it. On the line, he's got something we need, a book about food. Mm-hmm. And how to develop your food and your menu and what you eat based on your age. Dr. Ian's new book is called Eat Your Age, Feel Younger, Be Happier, Live Longer. He's on the line. Happy New Year, Dr. Ian. I know we way into the new year, but that's okay.
It's okay by me. And, I agree with you 100%. I'm excited about the new year. I'm excited about Eat Your Age. Can I just tell you why I wrote this book to begin with?
Sure.
Okay. So many people would say to me, hey, Dr. Ian, I'm in my 40s or 50s plus, and I just can't eat the way I was eating. I can't move the way I was moving. What am I doing wrong? And what I realize is that most people don't understand that for every decade, starting in our 30s, our change physically as we age, our bodies also change physiologically. How we can process things change. And people are not making the proper adaptations as we age. And that's the key, is that people have to realize you got to change what you're eating. You got to change kind of how you're moving. And so in Eat Your Age, I divided it up by every decade, starting in your 30s, going all the way to 60s plus. And I'm telling you, what are your top 10 power nutrients for your specific decade? What are the best and safest exercises? What medical screening tests do you need? What medical conditions should you be aware of? And then at the end of each decade, I give you a 30-day customized meal plan that will incorporate those power nutrients that are most relevant and helpful for your decade of life.
I love that.
How long did it take you to write this and research this? Because you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, it's the research part that takes the time, right? I'm a fast typist, so I can write really fast, but it's actually researching and finding all the nutrients. Because in the book, I just don't tell you your nutrients. I tell you what your nutrients actually do in your body. For example, in your 30s, you need a lot of calcium to start eating a lot of calcium. What does calcium do? So I explain to you, calcium is good for your bones. It's good for your teeth. I explain to you why. Then I show you what are the best sources of calcium, okay? And then I give you a meal plan for your decade that will incorporate all those things, calcium and the other nutrients. So it takes a while to put all of it together. And by the way, this is the most comprehensive health book I've ever written, because not only am I addressing what you need to eat, not only are you getting a meal plan, not only are you getting recipes, but then there are QR codes in the book that will show you all the exercises I'm talking about that are best for your decade. And it's me and my fitness partner demonstrating these exercises so people can do it right at home.
Nice.
Wow. You know what, Angelique? Get the one for the 80s, okay, girl?
Baby, listen, you know I ain't that old. Put it out, girl.
You mean 1980s. She meant 1980s.
Oh, okay.
Throwback.
Thank you.
You know what I love about this, ladies? I love that, because I used to love eggs.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about calcium, and now eggs make me want to regurgitate them. It's like, what could I substitute to get that? So I think I can't wait to read the book for my age.
Well, here's the thing, too, by the way. For example, here's one good example. Red meat. As we get older, our body does not process red meat as well. Why? Because our gastrointestinal system starts to slow down as we age. That's just natural, normal aging. And so one of my recommendations for people as they get older is to cut back on the red meat. There are other reasons, by the way, to do that, but let's, for the sake of this conversation, as you get older, your body doesn't process it as well. So you should cut back on it. On the flip side, by the way, the reason why people in their 60s plus need to eat vitamin B12 in sufficient amounts is because as you get older, the body doesn't absorb vitamin B12 as well as it should. So people are becoming vitamin B12 deficient, which is leading to all kinds of problems. So, you know, it really, our ability to process and eat foods and how we react to it really does change as we get older.
Let me ask you though, Dr. Ian, this sounds like a lot of information, but is it encyclopedia style where I could just open it up, go to the 80s, look at the stuff I'm supposed to be eating, go to the recipe guide, look in the 80s and see what I'm supposed to be
Yogurt. That's all you gonna get.
You ain't got no teeth. That's all you can eat. Yogurt
That's all
and
you eat
bananas.
in your 80s, Angelique.
Yeah, you owning them 80s. You owning them 80s. No, one of the beauties of the book and what takes time for me is organization. I like to make information very accessible, very succinct, and very organized. So if you're in your 50s, all you have to do is read the section for the 50s. Now, if you're curious, you can read 40s and 60s plus, but you don't have to read everything else to get to what you need. And I was very intentional about that with this book because I know that there are people in the 30s, 40s, 70s, 80s, and 50s who want this, but I don't want you reading, if you're in your 50s, what you should have been eating in your 30s. Same thing with the exercise. I say to you, here's the 60s. These are your exercises for your 60s. So yes, I'm very clear and very organized, and I sequester out per decade, so you only have to read what's relevant to your decade.
I love it.
It's Café Mocha on the line. Dr. Ian, his new book, Eat Your Age, Feel Younger, Be Happier, Live Longer. And, you know, we all love a treat now and then, Dr. Ian. How do you balance eating for health with enjoying life's little indulgences?
The sweets, listen, no one loves it more than I do. I love sweet potato pie. I bake a mean sweet potato pie. No offense to Patty LaBelle, my friend, but, you know, I can go to work on sweet potato pies. But here's the thing, though. I'm not baking them every week. And when I do bake them, I'm not eating the whole pie. It's all about moderation. My rule of thumb is this. If you eat 70% of the time reasonably healthy, 30% of the time, have fun. It's okay. And so I eat dessert like everyone else. I like chocolate cake. I eat everything. And then, by the way, on my Instagram is at Dr. Ian Smith. Spell the doctor out, I-A-N Smith. I post all the different things that I eat, and people say, you just ate a chocolate cake at the Bulls game? Yes, I did, but look how much I ate of the cake. I only ate a third of it. That's it. I'm good. So I think that people should not punish themselves by totally eliminating things that are fun and enjoyable. They just have to do it in moderation.
We're talking to Dr. Ian Smith. His book, Eat Your Age, Feel Younger, Be Happier, Live Longer. We've got more coming up on Café Mocha.
Standing in solidarity from a woman's perspective. It's Café Mocha.
Fitness Dr. Ian Smith is our guest on Café Mocha. His new book is about eating right for your age. Let's get back into it. What about alcohol? I mean, because alcohol just swallows up calories. It makes your belly big. How do we manage that part if we like a little glass of wine or dark liquor from time to time or every day or twice a day?
Well, I like what you said. You said keywords, little, time to time. Nothing wrong with that. But a new study just came out from the CDC saying that excessive consumption of alcohol has been linked to all types of cancers. Now, we already knew that it was linked to fatty liver and cirrhosis of the liver. We already knew that. But now we have new evidence that's saying that there are certain amounts of consumption that can lead to cancer. So first of all, people need to understand that alcohol is not an innocent beverage, okay, number one. But number two, you can still imbibe, no question about it. It's the volume, it's the frequency. And I think that's what people struggle with. You know, are you okay with a glass of wine? Are you okay with a mixed drink or two mixed drinks, and can you stop? Or does it turn into 3, 4, and 5? And this is where people have to have ownership of their own habits and know what they can do and what they cannot do. And I think that, if I had to get rid of two things right away that really can have major impact on your health and people tend to overconsume, it's obviously alcohol and sugary drinks.
Wow. Dr. Ian, I want to ask you, right now with all of the things that's happening with these weight loss drugs, is it safe? I mean, is it really safe?
We got to do a whole nother show on these GLP-1 agonists. Trust me. Let me give you my succinct take on these drugs. These drugs can be extremely effective for weight loss. Let's be clear. They were not designed for weight loss. They were designed to control type 2 diabetes. These drugs are not magical. What these drugs basically do, without getting into the minutiae of the science, what these drugs do is they suppress your appetite and they lead you to eat fewer calories. So if you were consuming, let's say, 2,000 calories before you took these medications, you're now going to consume, let's say, 1,200 calories. So you now have an 800 calorie difference, okay? That is why people are losing weight so dramatically, is because they're eating fewer calories. And I've been saying online that these drugs are basically a low-calorie diet in disguise. I've been saying since I've been doing this, you guys know I've been doing this for a long time, I've been saying, guys, the equation has always stayed the same. Calories in must be less than calories you take out. If you follow that equation, you're going to lose weight. Well, that's what these drugs do. They reduce the left side of the equation. They reduce your calories in, and so people are losing weight. Now, the part people don't want to talk about are all the side effects. There is a long list of side effects: dizziness, headaches, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, just to name a few. And what I think is unfair to people is not only, even though they're getting cheaper now, but not only can they be very expensive and difficult to access because of monetary reasons, but there are also these bad side effects. And no one's really talking about it. Instead, everyone's focusing on the next celebrity that has lost 3 dress sizes. What's nice, but, that comes at a cost.
It's Café Mocha on the line. Dr. Ian, you can actually look at him on his Instagram. It's a wonderful Instagram page. It's at Dr. Ian Smith. His new book is called Eat Your Age, Feel Younger, Be Happier, Live Longer. Now, Dr. Ian, you talk about SMART goals in your book. How can we apply that concept to our fitness resolutions? And how can we stay on our fitness resolutions?
For real.
Right. Yes.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, I don't like New Year's resolutions. I like all year resolutions. And I think that when people mentally tie themselves to, it's just the new year, I'm going to do it, then it fades, it burns out. When you say to yourself, I'm making an all year commitment to make some change, that changes the landscape because of your perspective. That's number one. Number two, people try to do too much too fast. They try to change too much. They want to stop smoking, reduce their drinking, exercise more, and eat less fried foods. It's too much. You have to work, right? You have to work on one thing at a time, 2 at the most. Give yourself a couple of weeks to get yourself in a routine. So instead of it being a temporary change, it now becomes part of your lifestyle. So when I counsel people, I say, list to me 4 or 5 things you'd like to change this year. Great. Be specific. You just can't say, I want to eat better. You got to say, I want to eat, 3 servings or less of meat per month. I'm at 8 now. I want to get down to 3. I only want to have 2 servings of fried food per week. You have to be specific in your goals, because when you are specific, then you can keep track of whether or not you are progressing towards your goal, and then if you actually hit the goal. So vague goals are no good. And so I say to people, 1 or 2 things at most at a time. Give yourself 2 weeks to make that change. And if the change doesn't happen, keep going on that particular thing. And then when you have it, then you go to the next thing. And then lastly, you have to reward yourself. Not reward yourself with unhealthy choices. But
McDonald's.
But you got to celebrate. Here's another thing. People don't celebrate the small victories in life. I was just telling my kids this. You guys, it's not always the big W. The small W's add up to the big W's. So if you lose a pound a week, that's weight loss. listen to this. If you don't lose any weight in a week, 0, at least you didn't gain weight. So I think that people have to have the mindset that they want to reward themselves and celebrate themselves, and that becomes kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Dr. Ian, does walking still help?
Yes, but I'm so glad you mentioned that. As you age, here's the biggest mistake I think people are making from an exercise perspective. Walking is great. Cardiovascular exercise, good for the heart, good for your lungs. But not enough people are lifting weights, particularly women. You need muscles, not muscles, big, bulky muscles like weightlifting. I'm not saying that. But as we age, people think, oh, I'm just fine walking in the park or jogging. No, the reason why people are falling, the reason why their metabolism is slowing down, the reason why they're having joint pain is because their muscles are too weak. And so if you can build your lean muscle mass and make it not, you don't have to be strong like an ox, but if you have some strength, then you will actually have better health parameters. And so my biggest takeaway for people as they get older is either lift weights, free weights, we call them, or resistance bands or machines. But don't shy away from it. Twice a week for 20 to 25 minutes, you should do some type of resistance training.
It's Cafe Mocha. We're talking to Dr. Ian. His book is called Eat Your Age, Feel Younger, Be Happier, Live Longer. I just realized on my weight journey that I do not like cardio because it sweats my hair out and I leave with an afro. I love lifting weights. So, I mean, do I have to do cardio?
Well, here's what's interesting. Ready for this? Lifting weights is also cardio. Everyone thinks cardio is just riding the bike. But let me tell you something. If you lift weights properly, you get winded. You're winded because there's also there's a cardiovascular component to lifting weights. But what I say to people is body weight exercises. Old-fashioned, listen, I can give you a 15-minute workout that you can do in your living room. That's all the cardio you need for that day. Old-fashioned things like jumping jacks, high knees, marching in place, all those things, which, by the way, I do on my Instagram. You know, I give all these tips out, but I show you these are the exercises you can do at home with no equipment and get all the cardio you need, and you may not sweat your hair out. I mean, you know, I'm sensitive to that. I'm married to a sister, so I understand how that works. Trust me.
I have a question. What do you say to the people who say, I want to drop the weight first and then start building?
I like that. I'm going to tell you why I like that. Because it's very difficult to do both at the same time. It's like threading the needle. Can some people do it? Yes, you can. It's not easy. I believe if you are a person who's just starting and you're kind of new to this, that trying to get some weight off first, not all of it off, but trying to get some of it off first, focusing on that. Still do some resistance training, but don't go as heavy. Do light, weight that you can do 10 to 15 repetitions of the weight. Do light burns. That helps. And then when you get, let's say 40% of the weight off, then you can say, okay, you know what? Now I'm going to work on not just still losing weight, but I'm going to build the muscle too. And I think that kind of 1-2 combination is effective for most people. Some people can do both at the same time. God bless you. But I think for the beginner, I think the 1-2 strategy is more effective.
Wow. Dr. Ian, as we close, your book, Eat Your Age, Feel Younger, Be Happier, Live Longer, is a great motivation for us all. Is there anything else that you would like to say to encourage our listeners?
Yes, I would like to say that people have to look at aging as an opportunity, not as a loss. Don't resign yourself to you are now going to withdraw and disengage. Just the opposite. Learn a new language, learn an instrument, lift weights, grow instead of shrinking. That's the important part. And I have a Facebook group that people can join. It's completely free. The name of the group is called Eat Your Age, which is the name of the book. And I have a weekly Zoom session where I answer questions. I bring on guests to help teach you how to lift weights, do all kinds of things, diabetes specialists. But the idea is you need a community to support you because it's not easy. And that's what I try to provide.
Well, we certainly thank God for you, Dr.
Yes.
Ian, and all the work that you're doing to keep us healthier, especially Angelique, because at 80, she needs it. So,
Baby,
baby. Where my yogurt? Where is my yogurt?
Y'all follow Dr. Ian at Dr. Ian Smith. That's doctor spelled out. Also pick up his book, Eat Your Age, Feel Younger, Be Happier, Live Longer. Thank you so much, Dr. Ian, for
Yes,
stepping
thank
in the
you.
Cafe
I
Mocha.
love you guys. I enjoyed myself. This was
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.
We're talking to Dr. Ian Smith, who wants you to eat your age, feel younger, be happier, live longer. More with Lonnie Love, Yo-Yo, and Angelique coming up on Cafe Mocha.
We're at Cafe Mocha Radio. Socially savvy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Serving up more Cafe Mocha on the way. Standing in solidarity from a woman's perspective. It's Cafe Mocha.
It's Cafe Mocha. On the line, Don Lemon. He has a new book out called I Once Was Lost, My Search for God in America. I was surprised by this title, Don Lemon, because I didn't know you were so faithful. Let's talk about this book.
Well, that's the point, is that I don't push my religion, or just like I don't push my ideology off. I believe in truth. When people ask me who I'm supporting, I can say it now because I'm not on corporate media. I say that I'm on the side of democracy. And they say, well, that means Kamala Harris. I said, yes, that means Kamala Harris. And I think she's well qualified, and I do support her. But if there was another qualified person in the race and they were on the side of democracy, I would support them too. I'm not supporting her just because she's a Democrat. I'm an independent. And so I don't wear my ideology on my sleeve, and I don't wear my faith on my sleeve, because I think that's what's gotten us into trouble, is that people trying to inject religion into our politics. And not only have they, and I'm talking to you evangelicals, not only have they blurred the line between church and state, they're trying to erase it right now. And I think that is dangerous. It's dangerous to our country. It's a detriment to our democracy. It's pushing us away from democracy, and it's pushing us away from God. So you were surprised, but I am a very faithful person. I pray all the time. I am a believer. I had a crisis of faith after my sister died. And, I do question everything. But I am, although I'm a believer, Lonnie, I'm not very churchy. I don't believe in religion that much, because I think it's been a big cause of the problems in this world and has gotten us into many wars.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, because reading the little caption on your book, it says that you always had a complicated relationship with God. But I wonder, is it God or is it the Black church?
Angelique, it's not. I had a complicated relationship with God because of the teachings, not only in the Black church, but also evangelicals, right? Because I'm a child. I was in high school in the 80s, right? And so I remember the Heritage Foundation and the Moral Majority and all those things. And that was all rooted in evangelicals, and that was their sort of rise in politics. So it's the Baptist church, yes, Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church every Sunday when I was a kid, but it's also evangelicals. And so that complicated relationship that I said as a gay man, I have a complicated relationship with the Bible, and as a Black man, I have a complicated relationship with the flag. And so, yeah.
Well, Lutherans, Presbyterians, Episcopalians are all more accepting of the LGBTQ plus community. Some even acknowledge same-sex marriages. Has the Black church grown any when it comes to accepting gay folks?
I
know.
I don't go to church that much, but here's what I will say. I don't know if they give lip service, but I hear people all the time, preachers, Black church, talking about homosexuality or whatever. And some of the main members in their church, right? And I'm not just talking about the piano teacher, the piano player, the organist or whatever, or the choir director. It's not just that. It's other preachers. It's the deacons. It's everybody out here. And as soon as we just learn to accept people for who they are and stop interpreting Bible verses and scripture in a way that we want to interpret them, it's abomination to be gay, but you still eat pork, you still covet your neighbor's wife, you still lie, you still do things that are in the 10 Commandments. Now, as far as I know, there's no commandment about being gay,
Right.
but there are commandments about rules that you break every single day in your life, and you put more of a premium on one thing than the other. That says more about you than it does about what the scripture actually says. Hypocrisy.
It's Cafe Mocha on the line. Don Lemon, his new book, I Once Was Lost, My Search for God in America, is now released. And what made you want to write this book, Don?
Well, Angelique and Lonnie, as I said, I had a crisis of faith in 2018 when my sister died suddenly. It was an accidental drowning, and I started questioning, and I felt like, why would God do this to someone who was, really in the prime of their life, right? And she had grandkids that she loved. She'd go to every single ball game and every single school and class day and award ceremony. She was just loving her life and her kids and her grandkids and just living, and was about to retire. And I wonder why God would do that. And then I thought about the 80s and 90s, and like I said, with the moral majority and the Heritage Foundation, the religious right, and I started seeing more of a press to inject religion into our politics. And then came the Tea Party, same thing. Mm-hmm. And then came MAGA, same thing. And then I started looking at polls where 80 to 90% of evangelicals were supporting this man who was the least God-like and religious-like person
ever
that one could even conceive, right? Mm-hmm. Cheating on his wife with a porn star. Look, and I'm not judging, I'm just giving you the facts, right? So, and so I saw that and I said, you know what, I need to have a voice and I need to speak about it. And I started writing this book in 2022. This was well before my departure from CNN. And then once I got let go from CNN, I put the book down for the summer because the book was just supposed to be a coda to my book. And Lonnie, I'm sure you remember in 2021, I wrote a book about race. Mm-hmm. It was This Is the Fire, What I Say to My Friends About Racism, number one on the New York Times bestsellers list. By the way, I have to give myself a little credit for that. And it was about George Floyd and all of those things. And so this is supposed to be a coda to that book, a follow-up to talk about the hypocrisy in religion. And I was just going to talk to religious leaders and that sort of thing. And then after CNN, it became much more a personal book. And I decided to write it more about my experience and what I thought about how all of these evangelical teachings and religious teachings and interpretations in the Bible, how they were trying to really marginalize me and marginalize other people, just as it sought to enslave people, right? And to subjugate women. That people use the same Bible verses and scripture to do that. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to point out the hypocrisy, and I wanted people to be informed in their daily lives, no matter who was president of the United States. And the odd thing is that as I was writing this, I finally finished it, sent it to the publisher. It was supposed to release in November after the election, around Christmas time, as a good gift, and people could read it because it's about religion and all that. And the publisher said, no, people need to read this before they go to the polls and vote, because it's not just about religion. It's also about politics and what we need to know in our daily lives about how our politics in our country actually work, and the infusion of religion in our politics, what it's doing to us as a country.
Did you write it or did Tim write it?
My dogs, Barkley, Boomer, and Gus Gus wrote it. No, Tim didn't write it, but Tim influences the book. He's in there. I talk about our marriage without hesitation, just as straight people talk about their marriages and relationships, because I don't believe that there's any difference. You love who you love, and you want to spend your life with who you want to spend your life with, and that's nobody's business but your own. And so did Tim write it? I would imagine in some way he did, because he has a huge influence over my life.
I'm just glad Tim is still breathing, because I was worried. When I saw y'all was getting married, I said, oh, Lord, Tim, please.
Why? You think I'm a lot? You think my life is a lot, Lonnie?
You're a lot. You're a lot, Don. Okay? This whole interview has been this whole
Tim is like, I'm right here. Do you hear it? Hi, guys.
Hey, Tim. I'm just checking on you, Tim. Since the marriage. Is everything okay?
Yeah, we're doing okay. Blink twice, Tim.
I love you, Tim. Oh my goodness. Now, Don, you was at CNN for nearly 20 years, and I was so mad with what went down. But you know,
and it was some BS, right?
And it was a setup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. It was, but you came through at the end. Cha-ching.
The new black soap opera Beyond the Gates debuted on Thursday. It airs weekdays on CBS or streaming on Paramount Plus. We talked to some of the cast coming up in the Espresso.
Here's your dose of espresso. Strong, hot news now.
This is the Espresso. CBS and the NAACP kicked off the brand new black soap opera Beyond the Gates. And these black families are rich, educated, and powerful.
It's really heavy on the women in the show, right? The women are incredibly powerful on the show. They run it. And so to be able to see black women so powerful is a beautiful thing.
Did I mention the soap opera takes place in Prince George's County, Maryland?
A lot of people don't know that PG County is one of the wealthiest black communities in the country. And so to be able to showcase that on television in a black soap opera, it's such an honor. And I hope that people will love it and feel seen.
And Beyond the Gates was created by a black woman who spent her career writing for General Hospital, The Bold and the Beautiful. Now she's got her own show.
Michelle Valjean, who wrote our soap, she's worked on tons of soaps before, so she knows the genre, she understands the genre, but also being a black woman, she understands black culture.
The black soap opera Beyond the Gates airs weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on CBS or stream it on Paramount Plus. That's the Espresso.
This is Café Mocha. Radio from a woman's perspective.
Café Mocha with Emmy Award-winning talk show host Lonnie Love, hip-hop legend Yo-Yo, and I'm the producer, Angelique. Don Lemon's got a new book. It's called I Once Was Lost, My Search for God in America. Let's get back to it, Don.
You were at CNN and you were let go. What happened?
What happened? Well, the thing is that I write about in the book what happened. But I think like you, what you said before, people actually come up. I was going to, in the book, I was like, I got to say this and I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this or whatever. But after spending time in the summer and, a little bit of time off, people were actually coming up to me telling me what happened. And I'm like, well, God, do I even have to dig into this? So look, as I have said before publicly, there were things that I didn't know when I was there that I've become aware of. And as I wrote in my statement when I was let go, is that there were forces in the background that I wasn't aware of, and there were some things that I didn't know.
So
I will say, yes. If you want to say that, then you can say that. But it's not what everybody has seen. And remember, in order to push aside someone who had been there for so long and who the audience loved, especially someone with my background, you have to create a narrative about that person as a predicate to getting rid of them. And so most of the things that you read about me are not true. A lot of the articles are not true. But contractually, when you're in these contracts, you cannot respond because, as you know, Lonnie, you've been in one of these contracts before, and there are certain things that you can and cannot do, and they know that. And so they can sort of, anybody, any company, I'm generalizing it, they can create any sort of narrative about you that they want to, and you can't respond.
Yep. And it's a shame because, you worked so hard, but to see you come through, and I think, you came through a winner. Do you think that was due to not only just your perseverance, but also your faith?
I think it's my faith. I think it's my perseverance, but also as I dedicate this book to, when I say all the matriarchs of Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church and all of the women, especially black women, who have supported me and have carried me in their bosom, and I don't mean that in a weird way, you know what I'm talking about, who have just sort of held me up. That's why I dedicated to them, because a lot of the things that they were hearing about, I'm like, that's BS. And I wanted them to know, and I wanted to have a work that was dedicated to them so that they know the real truth about what happened to me. But I didn't really need to do that, honestly, because they already knew.
Yeah, we already knew, Don. They're like, why are you tripping? We already knew.
Let me just say this. When you asked me about what it was, Also, my mama raised me right. My mama raised me to have dignity and class, and to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And everything that all the beliefs and that she instilled in me have paid off, because I believe that I've come through this with dignity and class, and I don't have to be bitter or a troll by talking, by talking about CNN or anybody that I work with. I always say I work with the best journalists in the world. I wish them well. I have no ill will towards them, and I wish CNN the best. It pains me to see them, what's happening now with the ratings and all of that, and people not watching. But because when I was there, quite honestly, and I write about it in the book, it was that CNN was at its zenith. We had the most ratings, the highest ratings, and the biggest profits in the history of the company. And that is when I was in prime time with the team who was in place. So, it speaks for itself.
Check out the Don Lemon Show on YouTube. The new book is called I Was Once Lost, My Search for God in America.
Want a little more of our flavor? Stay right there. It's Café Mocha.
Lonnie Love, Yo-Yo, and Angelique. We call it Café Mocha. Our guest is Don Lemon, and yes, we're talking politics.
Before we close, let's talk about your daily show, Lemon Live, because we can now see you every day. Let's talk about it, Don Lemon.
So it's the Don Lemon Show, which is powered by the Lemon Media Network, LMN, which is my production company. And then I have my own show, and I do two shows. I have my own channel, which is called the Don Lemon Show channel. But in the morning, I do Hot Topics, right? Because Sherry's not doing Sherry. I love Sherry. It's on her show, love her. But I was missing my Hot Topics in the morning, which was Wendy. And so I do Hot Topics, whether it's around politics, pop culture, or whatever, lifestyle, whatever. So I do Hot Topics in the morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time, where we just go through, and it's just me, just riffing, talking about the thing, kind of like Wendy sitting in her purple chair, right? And then I do Lemon Live at 5 every day at 5 o'clock, which is a more serious sort of news topics, things that are going on in the world, where today we talked about, the abortion thing that's happening in Georgia, the hurricane, or what's happening with the election and that sort of thing. So that's what I do. And then I just have the Don Lemon Show, where I sit down with people and interview people like Angelique or Lonnie or D.L. Hughley or Whoopi or, Cheryl Lee Ralph or anyone like that. Like, I'll sit around with big names and celebrities. And so that is a taped show that I do. So those are the shows that I do on the Don Lemon channel. And so you can tune in every day at 10 a.m. If you want live, you want to be in the comments, we'll read your comments. Same thing for live at 5. I do that. And it was just going to be a tape show 3 times a week. And then I said, you know what? This is just too much like regular television. I want to have a relationship with my subscribers. I want to build subscribers. I want to build a community. And I said, I'm going to start doing a show live every day where I'm just going to talk to my subscribers. And I did it, and it worked. We've been building subscribers so far. We have almost 260,000 subscribers in 6 months, which if anybody who's in this, in streaming, that's quite a feat for a short amount of time. So think about our trajectory, what will happen in a year or 2 years or what have you. So, it's going to build.
And it's a new type of freedom, isn't it, Don?
Oh my gosh, it is. It is. And I'm lucky enough and fortunate and blessed enough to be in a place where I can experiment.
Before we let you go, I'm wondering, what would it take for you to come back to TV?
Well, I'm sharing with you guys more than I share with anyone. People are like, why aren't you back on TV? Why aren't you doing this? Number one, again, for those of us in this, the three of us who've been on television, I think Lonnie, correct me if I'm wrong, has more television experience than, I think it's me and then Lonnie and then you, Angelique. Yeah. So you know that you have contractual obligations. You just can't run and jump on somebody's air because, you have non-competes. And there are time periods where you cannot do things. So I have contractual obligations. And so when those contractual obligations are over, then we can talk about it. But until then, I'm not giving up what is owed to me from someone else.
That's right.
Hi, man. Don Lemon.
You guys know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. Shoot, you keep that money. Okay, anyway. I love you, Don. Thank you so much. No, seriously, we have been friends for a long time. You've always supported me. We text, we talk, and you've just been a great support to me. And thank you for what you're doing in this election season because we really need it. We really, really need it. And you've earned the respect. So we will continue to support
Thank you, Lonnie.
In case you missed it, the new black soap opera Beyond the Gates debuted Thursday on CBS and Paramount Plus. It airs weekday afternoons. And CBS teamed up with the NAACP to make this show just for us. So let's make sure we watch it, stream it, share it on social media. Like the page, follow the actors. Let's just make sure we give it some love. That's the show. Until next time, you can find us on all social media platforms at Café Mocha Radio. Café Mocha is a production of Miles Ahead Broadcasting in partnership with Super Radio. Executive producer Sheila Eldridge. For comments, booking, or more information, visit cafemocharadio.com.